Today we're gonna do a Q&A on my feeding tube. If you don't know, my stomach is paralyzed and I've been tube fed for almost a year now. Can you get pregnant with a feeding tube? The answer is yes, you can. I've seen lots of people go through healthy pregnancies with feeding tubes, which is absolutely incredible to me. However, for me personally, I had a tubal, I think almost 2 years ago now. So for me, not possible, but yes, you can get pregnant with a feeding tube. Do you get sick of the taste of your formula? Can you imagine eating the same thing every single day? So I'm actually fed through my jejunum, which is your small intestine, because my stomach is paralyzed. So I cannot taste my formula whatsoever. It does come in flavors though, chocolate and vanilla. Can I drink water? So the simple answer is, sure, I could. However, water feels like glass shards to me. It hurts so bad, like instantly. It is awful. I have not had water in almost a year now, which is really crazy to me because I used to drink like a gallon of water a day. Like I was a water girly, but it is just not a thing for me now. So all of my water goes through my J tube now, and I put it in every 2 hours while I'm awake. But I honestly do forget a lot, so there's that. With that being said, in a gastroparesis group that I'm in, I found in my journey that a lot of people could tolerate Coca-Cola. I can drink some Coca-Cola, which is incredible. However, I have to take really small sips, and everything ends up getting drained from my stomach no matter what, because it hurts still. It's like the weight and the pressure of it. It's hard to explain, but yeah, I can drink some Coca-Cola. I'm not super proud of it because I felt like I was a really healthy girl before, but I am grateful that I can have some sort of liquid to help because, yeah, dry mouth is a real thing. Why do I do my feeds at night? I get this question a lot. A lot of people are concerned when they see me setting up everything at night. So nighttime is just when I am setting up my formula for the next like 24 hours, right? That just happens to be when I'm setting it up. I do know with G-tubes, the risk of a reflux and aspirating on it are kind of high. So you're supposed to be either elevated or do it during the day from what I'm aware of. However, I'm fed through a J-tube, which is a small intestine. Those risks don't really apply. But also when I first got my NJ tube, which is the nasal feeding tube, I was on 24-hour feeds. So it's not uncommon to see someone being fed at night. With that being said, I am still readjusting for some reason to my tube feed, and so nighttime is the only time that I can kind of seem to get through it and sleep through it. I sleep with a heating pad on my stomach, and it helps a lot. What happens if I roll over in my sleep while I'm connected? So I get this question a lot. Basically every single nighttime routine, people say, well, what happens if you roll over? Does it ever rip out? So one, with my feeding tube, there's a balloon inside of my stomach that's filled with water. And so that helps prevent it from popping out. That doesn't mean that that balloon can't pop, right? So if I roll over and my tube kinks like that, my alarm will start going off on my pump, and then I just have to make sure it's all unkinked and restart my feed. It's really pretty easy. You just click a button and that's it. After I had my surgery for my GJ tube, I was in so much pain. I felt like I could not move. I've just recently gotten to the point where I'm kind of comfortable sleeping on my sides, but it still just feels really weird. I can't imagine like fully ripping out my tube in my sleep, but I'm also not a crazy sleeper. I'm kind of a light sleeper. I have a hard time sleeping in general. I use these grip lock tapes on my stomach, which have a place with a sticky part under this Velcro. Hold on, let me show you. Right here is where my tube sits, and it's sticky, and then I Velcro it back. This whole part is stuck to my stomach, so it can't easily just like rip out. It would take quite some force to completely rip off. Do I get hungry? Yes. So especially I think because I'm fed through my J tube and not through a G tube. A G tube is when you're fed into your stomach. My stomach hasn't been full of food or anything in like a really long time. It hasn't been. And so eventually I feel like you just kind of get used to the feeling of being hungry. Sometimes I'm more hungry than normal, but yeah, that feeling doesn't really ever seem to go away of hunger. I think just because there's nothing in my stomach to make me not hungry. Can you swim with a feeding tube? So there's mixed things about this. I was told as long as I trust the water and that it's clean and safe, then I will be fine. We have a blow-up pool at home that we use in the summers that we make sure that we clean out. I am comfortable getting in that because it's something that I keep clean. I also take baths still. I just make sure that I clean my bathtub. I religiously will clean and bleach my bathtub and scrub it down. So in those cases, yes, but the risk is because there's an open hole in your body, right? So any bacteria that is in a pool or a lake or something could get inside of you. So if that is a worry of yours, or you're going a place that you don't trust the water, there are dressings that you can put over. It's a clear dressing that you just stick on. It's like a giant sticker that you can just stick on right over, which is really nice to have as well. Does it hurt? So for the first couple of months of my tube with my NJ and with my surgical tube, I was totally fine with my feeds. I didn't feel them at all, and everything was great. Mid-June, I want to say, mid-late June is when I started having pain with my feeds. And we're not exactly sure why, but I have been able to up the amount since then. So in general, I don't feel like it should hurt, but for some reason it started hurting for me. Will I ever be able to eat normal food again? So this one's a hard one for me to answer. My condition progressed really quickly. I lost like 97 pounds from not being able to eat or drink, and my feeding tube is considered life support because I cannot sustain myself. I do have some things that I can like melt in my mouth that are easy for me to drain out of my stomach, but they're still really painful. They still make me nauseous. I still have to do nausea medicine. There's like a whole thing that I have to do to be able to do that. Would I love to be able to eat food again? Absolutely, but it's something I try not to think about because it's something that doesn't pertain to me. I feels like I would rather be surprised than disappointed. It causes me extreme pain, and also causes me to get sick. That hasn't changed over me having a feeding tube. Before my feeding tube, it hasn't changed with medications. It hasn't changed at all whatsoever at all through this journey, and so I doubt that I will. And so I'm just gonna say no. Why do I have a feeding tube? So my stomach is paralyzed. It became paralyzed from an autoimmune condition that I've had for 13 years. I didn't know it could happen. My doctors didn't know it could happen either until we did a bunch of testing over several months and finally figured it out. I had lost a total of 97 pounds through this journey from not being able to eat and drink water. Eating and drinking causes me extreme pain and causes me to get sick. It started happening early in 2023 where I was having nausea just here and there, and then it progressed to where I was eating about 3 bites of food a day, and that was making me literally cry because it was causing me so much pain. Is there a cure for gastroparesis, which is stomach paralysis? No, there is not a cure. There are medications and different procedures that can help with symptoms, but there is not a cure for it. Do I crave food? Yes, all of the time. However, I have forgotten what a lot of food tastes like because it's been so long. Is it safe to blow into my bag that I put my formula in? You often see me blow into my bag before I pour my formula in. So the thing is I have a J tube, and none of my stuff needs to be sterile. None of my stuff. So the jejunum, the small intestine, where my J tube is, that's what it stands for, is the small intestine, which is not a sterile place whatsoever. So me breathing into a bag of formula that is going into my small intestine is not an issue whatsoever. I wouldn't have anyone else breathe into my bag because I don't want their germs, but it is literally just air from my mouth going back into my system. A lot of people give me crap for it, but it's fine. I'm fine. It's not a big deal, but yeah, if you want to do some research, go look into the small intestine. Tell me how sterile that is. How do you have kids with your condition? So my condition developed after I had kids. I'm really grateful that it happens after I have kids. I can't imagine going through like pregnancies and the early infant stages of them. My girls are now 3 and 5, and they have just learned along right with me. I am so grateful for them. They help keep me going. Does the feeding tube make me feel like I'm better? A lot of people do assume that because of social media and everything that I'm just fine now. Unfortunately, that is not the case. I am so incredibly grateful for the nutrients that my tube gives me because it has given me my quality of life back, where I was to a point that I wasn't gonna be here. Gosh, I feel like I'm gonna cry now. and it has saved my life, and I am so grateful for it. But unfortunately, no, it doesn't make me better. It doesn't take my other symptoms away. But I am really grateful to have those nutrients to give me energy and to keep me going, because there's no way that I would be able to do it without it. But yeah, I still have nausea 24/7. I still have really bad stomach pain that is really sharp and feels like knives sometimes. I still have severe bloating. I have all of it still. I just now have nutrients so that I can get through my day, and I'm so grateful for that. But unfortunately, it doesn't change my condition whatsoever. Do I miss eating? I get this question a lot. Ask this to yourself. If you didn't eat, would you miss it? Yes. I'm not broken. My stomach's just broken. But yes, I miss eating. I miss all of it. I just try not to think about it anymore.